The galaxy did not expect its most dangerous enemy to be small, striped, and shaped like a creature that looked more curious than deadly. The great Vrax Empire believed they understood every threat in the universe. They had mapped black holes, destroyed rebel planets, and studied thousands of alien beasts. But they had never seen anything from Earth before, and they did not know what kind of chaos a single creature could create. Their mistake began the moment their scouts captured a strange little animal near an abandoned human research ship drifting in deep space. The creature was asleep inside a metal crate, curled up as if it feared nothing in the universe. The soldiers laughed when they scanned it. It had no advanced claws, no venom, no wings, nothing impressive. They did not know it was a honey badger. They did not know Earth animals were built differently. The creature woke up inside the Empire's lab on Vrax Station, a giant floating fortress filled with thousands of alien scientists. They believed the small animal would help them understand human biology. They thought it was harmless. They even joked about keeping it as a station pet. The scientists placed it inside a bright glass chamber with energy shields and robotic arms. They poked it. They scanned it. They tried to pull a hair sample from its back. That was the moment everything changed. The honey badger opened its eyes. It stared at them with a look that no one could understand, something between anger and pure disrespect for the entire galaxy. The alien scientists stepped back, confused. The creature made a low, angry sound. It was warning them. They did not listen. The honey badger stood up on its short legs, and before the scientists could react, it attacked the robotic arms holding it. The machines were made from one of the strongest metals in the Empire, yet the honey badger tore them apart like weak plastic. The aliens screamed and hit alarms, calling security and lockdown teams. But the honey badger did not care about alarms. It did not care about guards. It cared only about destroying whatever annoyed it. It broke the energy field by ramming the wall again and again until sparks filled the room. The shield collapsed, shocking everyone in the lab. The Vrax Empire had never seen anything break their tech by simple, stubborn force. The honey badger jumped out, landed on the floor, and looked around calmly, as if the whole station belonged to it now. Security guards rushed inside the lab. They carried stun rifles, net launchers, and electric batons. The honey badger stared at them for a single moment. Then it charged. The guards fired stun blasts, but the creature ignored them like tiny sparks. The nets wrapped around its body, but it bit through them in seconds. The guards tried to run, but the honey badger chased them with shocking speed. It did not kill anyone, but it made sure every guard regretted every decision that brought them to that room. The station commander heard the screams echoing through the halls and could not believe a small Earth animal was causing this chaos. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, humans listened to a distress signal from the research ship that had been lost months ago. The signal repeated the same message. Specimen taken. Hostile capture. Unknown consequences. The human ship Falcon Star changed course toward Vrax territory. Captain Mara Hayes did not know what specimen was taken, but she knew one thing: anything from Earth must not fall into enemy hands. She feared a dangerous human technology was stolen, something that could shift the power of the galaxy. She did not imagine it was a honey badger. The Falcon Star approached the Empire's borders quietly, hiding among asteroid shadows and signal distortions. Mara wondered why the Empire had sent no warnings, no threats, no demands. For a powerful empire, they were strangely silent. That worried her even more. Back on Vrax Station, the honey badger continued its unstoppable path through the hallways. Every alien it passed stared in fear. It knocked over machines, ripped through door panels, and climbed ventilation shafts with no clear purpose. It simply refused to be contained. The station's scientists watched everything through cameras and could not understand how the creature ignored tranquilizers, lasers, and sonic traps. They recorded every movement, whispering nervously among themselves. The Empire had captured monsters larger than ships, yet none of them behaved like this small Earth beast. The station commander ordered all non-essential personnel to evacuate the lower decks. Panic spread. Rumors spread faster. Some aliens claimed the creature could not die. Others said humans had created it as a war weapon. Some believed it came from a cursed planet filled with unstoppable creatures. Fear shaped their imagination. The honey badger crawled inside a maintenance tunnel and reached the central power chamber, a room filled with glowing blue energy conduits. The station depended on this power core. If it was damaged, everything would shut down. Aliens watched in horror as the creature sniffed the cables and scratched at them. They begged their commander to send more forces, but he refused. He feared angering the creature further. He ordered the station AI to calm it down by releasing food pellets inside the room. The honey badger sniffed them, ignored them, and continued exploring like a creature bored with everything around it. At the same time, the Falcon Star received its first signal from the Empire's station. It was not a threat. It was a request. The message was simple. Return your specimen. Take it away before it destroys everything. Mara froze. Whatever was happening inside that station was far worse than she imagined. She ordered her ship to move faster. The honey badger finally sat in the middle of the power chamber, surrounded by terrified alien scientists watching from behind sealed glass. None of them dared to breathe loudly. The creature looked calm now, but everyone knew the calm was worse than the attack. It was thinking. It was planning. It was waiting for something. And for the first time in the Empire's long history, the aliens realized they were not in control of the situation. A small Earth creature had taken their strongest station hostage without even trying. The Vrac station was no longer a place of order and science. It had become a silent battlefield where fear ruled every corner. Lights flickered. Alarms glowed quietly, and every hallway carried the memory of the creature that no one could stop. The honey badger had paused in the power chamber, but its stillness made the aliens even more afraid. They whispered among themselves, wondering if the creature could sense the fear in their voices. The station commander watched from the control room, trying to decide what to do next. He had fought pirates, rebels, and cosmic storms, but he had never faced something like this small Earth creature. He wondered how such a thing existed, and why humans had never warned anyone. Inside the chamber, the honey badger slowly raised its head. The aliens watching through the glass froze. They held their tools close to their chests like shields. The creature sniffed the air as if searching for something familiar. Its nose twitched at the scent of metal, heat, and fear. The aliens felt its gaze like a heavy weight. One scientist whispered that the creature might be planning to chew through the power conduits. Another whispered that it might explode the entire station. They did not know that the honey badger did not plan anything. It simply acted as it pleased, and that was what made it terrifying. Far away, the human ship Falcon Star rushed through deep space, moving faster than safety limits allowed. Captain Mara Hayes stood on the command deck, staring at the strange messages the Empire had sent. They were desperate, frightened, almost begging. She could not understand how a mighty empire could be scared of a specimen taken from an old research ship. Her crew whispered theories. Some believed it was a human superweapon. Others thought it was a failed experiment. No one imagined the truth. Mara decided that no matter what the Empire had taken, she would retrieve it. She could not allow humanity to appear weak. She sent a message to the station requesting a docking channel. The station replied instantly, something no Imperial station had ever done. They almost sounded grateful. That alone made Mara feel uneasy. Back on Vrac's station, 2 alien engineers crept near the power chamber to check the systems. They tried to stay quiet, but one accidentally stepped on a metal shard that cracked loudly under his foot. The honey badger's head snapped toward them. Both aliens jumped back as if burned. The honey badger stared at them, then calmly looked away as if they were too unimportant to bother with. The engineers collapsed to the floor in relief. They whispered praises to whatever cosmic force had saved them. They quickly crawled back into the hall, warning others not to approach the chamber unless absolutely necessary. The station commander finally decided to inform the Emperor. He opened a secure communication channel and explained everything. The Emperor listened in silence, his insect-like face unreadable. When the commander finished speaking, the Emperor only asked one question. "How many warriors has this creature killed?" The commander swallowed hard. "None, my Emperor. It is not killing. It is simply refusing to be controlled." The Emperor leaned forward. "Then it is worse than a killer. It is a force we do not understand." He ordered the commander to keep the creature contained until humans arrived. The commander felt shame at receiving such an order. But he had no choice. Meanwhile, the honey badger got bored and started walking again. It pushed open a maintenance hatch with its head and climbed into a narrow pipe. The aliens watching on security cameras panicked again. The creature was now moving toward the station's research wing, a place filled with dangerous tech and volatile chemicals. If it knocked over even one unstable device, the entire wing could explode. The station commander ordered all scientists to evacuate immediately. Some ran so fast they forgot to take their equipment. Others tripped over each other in fear. The hallway became a scene of chaos, with aliens rushing in every direction trying to escape before the creature arrived. Inside the pipe, the honey badger crawled forward without care. Sparks burst around it as its claws scraped against energy coils. The creature ignored them. It had survived far worse on Earth. It emerged from the pipe into the research wing, landing on a table filled with strange glowing devices. The aliens watching through cameras screamed again. The honey badger sniffed a dangerous plasma cell, then flicked it off the table. It exploded in a harmless flash, but the scientists fainted from panic. The creature continued exploring, knocking over tools and chewing on a metal rod that tasted interesting. At that moment, the Falcon Star arrived at the outer edge of Vrax Station. Mara looked at the giant fortress floating before her. She had seen Imperial structures before, but this one looked strangely dim, as if the station had lost confidence in itself. She opened communication. A frightened alien voice answered immediately, telling her to dock as quickly as possible. Mara narrowed her eyes. She ordered her crew to prepare for a possible trap, but the station did not aim weapons at her ship. It did not threaten her. It only asked her to hurry. Back in the research wing, the honey badger ripped open a storage crate and found a container of emergency rations. It bit through the box and ate loudly. The aliens, confused by the unexpected peace, wondered if food might calm the creature. They sent robotic drones carrying more rations. The honey badger watched them, then smacked one drone across the room for no clear reason. The other drones fled. The creature continued eating. The station commander stared at the screens, showing the creature's path of destruction. He never thought a small Earth animal could bring his station to its knees. He felt humiliation, fear, and awe at the same time. Then an officer announced that the human ship had arrived. The commander felt a wave of relief. Maybe the humans could take the creature away before the station collapsed. Inside the docking bay, the honey badger lifted its head, sensing a new scent in the air. Something familiar, something human. And for the first time since waking up, its eyes showed curiosity rather than rage. Captain Mara Hayes stepped off the Falcon Star with her team, moving carefully through the docking bay of Vrax Station. The air smelled strange, like burnt wires and fear. The walls showed deep scratch marks, and several broken machines lay scattered across the floor. Mara had seen battlefields, but she had never seen a station so large look so defeated without a fight. The alien officers waiting for her looked terrified. Their antennae shaking as they tried to stand straight. They saluted her as if she were their last hope. Mara did not know why they feared her, but she sensed they feared something far worse. One officer stepped forward and handed her a tablet showing the path of destruction across the station. Mara studied the images: smashed doors, torn equipment, abandoned hallways, and frightened scientists hiding behind consoles. She frowned. "What weapon did you take from our ship?" she asked. The officer swallowed hard. "Not a weapon, a creature, small, very small." Mara raised a brow. "Small creatures don't break stations." The officer shook his head. "This one does." He motioned for her to follow, leading her toward the research wing. As Mara walked through the station, she felt the eyes of hundreds of aliens watching her. They peeked from behind doorways, crawled out from under tables, and whispered to each other. Some pointed at her and whispered the word human as if it explained everything. Mara heard the fear in their voices. She wondered what could terrify an empire like this. If they had taken something dangerous from Earth, she needed to contain it quickly before the political consequences grew worse. Back in the research wing, the honey badger finished eating the emergency rations and looked around with boredom. It scratched its back against a metal crate, leaving deep dents in it. Sparks from broken machines flickered in the air, but the creature did not react. It climbed onto a damaged console and stared at its reflection on a cracked screen. For a moment, it seemed calm. Then a small drone hovered nearby, scanning it. The honey badger slapped the drone with one paw, sending it crashing into a wall. The alien scientists, monitoring the cameras, screamed again. Mara and her team reached the wing and saw the chaos firsthand. The hallways were littered with broken doors and shattered panels. Something had chewed through a pipe thick as a human leg. Another pipe was bent as if twisted by strong hands. Mara knelt and touched the bite marks. Her eyes widened. No human weapon made these. Her team exchanged nervous looks. Mara stepped into the main observation room and looked at the screen showing the creature inside the research wing. When she recognized the striped fur and short legs, she froze. She whispered, "Is that a honey badger?" The alien officers nodded quickly. She stared in disbelief. "You're telling me a honey badger did all of this?" One alien corrected her. "Not just did, still doing." Mara felt shock and embarrassment. Of all things the Empire could have stolen, they had taken Earth's most stubborn little nightmare. She turned to the officers. "Why didn't you put it in a containment cage?" The officer sighed. "We did. It broke it." Mara tried not to laugh. She knew honey badgers were tough, but this was beyond normal. Something about space travel or alien tech might have changed it, or maybe it was simply being a honey badger. Inside the wing, the creature sniffed the air again. It could sense something new, something familiar. It jumped down from the console and began walking toward the exit, following the faint scent of humans. Its claws clicked on the metal floor as it moved through shadows. Ignoring alarms, ignoring fear, ignoring everything except its new goal. The aliens panicked as they saw it approaching the door. "It is coming this way," one yelled. Mara watched the camera feed calmly. "Open the door," she said. The aliens stared at her as if she had gone mad. "Open the door." Reluctantly, they obeyed. The heavy door slid open, and the honey badger stepped into the hall. It stopped, staring at Mara and her team. The aliens behind her hid behind the wall, peeking out with shaking hands. Mara slowly walked forward. The honey badger sniffed the air, recognizing the familiar human scent. For a moment, everything went silent. The entire station held its breath. Then the honey badger walked toward Mara, not aggressively but with confidence, as if expecting her to fix everything that had annoyed it. Mara sighed in relief. "There you are. You caused more trouble than an entire battlefield." The honey badger made a low grumbling sound, which Mara interpreted as agreement. One of her team members whispered, "Captain, should we pick it up?" Mara glared at him. "Do you want to die?" The team member quickly shook his head. The honey badger walked in circles, sniffing equipment and ignoring the terrified aliens. Mara turned to the commander. "We'll take it back to our ship." The commander nearly cried with joy. "Please take it far away from us." But before Mara could move the creature, the station shook violently. Lights flickered. Sirens blared. The commander's eyes widened in shock. "What was that?" A communications officer shouted from a console. "A Vrax battle fleet is approaching." "They think humans have attacked the station," Mara cursed. "They think we caused this mess?" The officer nodded rapidly. "They believe you unleashed the creature on us." Mara looked at the honey badger, who was now chewing on a cable without care. She groaned. "This is going to be difficult to explain." The battle fleet sent a warning message demanding that humans surrender. Mara knew things were about to get worse. The Empire already feared the creature. Now they feared humans even more. The honey badger growled softly at the shaking walls, sensing danger. Mara stepped closer to it, trying to calm it. She whispered, "Don't do anything crazy." But the creature never listened to anyone. It climbed onto a fallen beam and stared toward the docking bays as if preparing for something big. The aliens watched in terror. Mara watched in worry. The battle fleet moved closer, and the honey badger, Earth's wildest warrior, was ready for whatever came next. The Vrax battle fleet moved into position around the station like a metal cage. Dozens of warships aimed their weapons at Vrax station and at the small human ship docked beside it. In the control room, warning lights flashed. The station commander shouted orders to his crew, but most of them were too frightened to think. Captain Mara Hayes stood near the main screen, watching the fleet grow larger. She took a slow breath. One small creature from Earth had turned a simple rescue into a crisis. The first message from the fleet arrived. The voice of Admiral Karras filled the room, cold and sharp. He demanded that the humans surrender and hand over all biological weapons. The commander tried to explain that the humans were helping, not attacking. The Admiral did not believe him. Images of destroyed halls and broken machines made it look as if humans had unleashed a monster. Mara stepped forward and spoke to the Admiral herself. She told him the creature was not a weapon, only a stubborn animal from Earth. Then the Admiral asked one question. If it was just an animal, why could no one stop it? She glanced back at the honey badger, who was trying to chew a damaged cable in the corner of the hall. The creature looked small, but its presence filled the space. Mara knew that arguing over a screen would not be enough. The Empire was already afraid. They needed proof, not words. A risky idea formed in her mind, one that could save everyone or make things worse. She told the commander they needed to show the Admiral the truth. They set up a live camera in a storage room and lured the honey badger inside with a trail of food packs. The creature followed, annoyed but curious. When it entered, they sealed the doors. The Admiral watched from his flagship as the live image appeared before him. At first, he looked confused. He had expected a towering beast, not a low, stocky animal with rough fur and sharp eyes. The honey badger sniffed the camera, then slapped it with its paw. The image shook. Some officers on the flagship laughed nervously. Others stared at the claw marks on metal. To prove what it could do, Mara ordered a maintenance drone into the room. The drone rolled toward the creature and bumped it gently. The honey badger spun around, grabbed the drone, and tore it apart. Sparks flew. Pieces bounced off the walls. Then it bit into a metal crate and ripped open the side with raw force. Inside the flagship, officers fell silent. The Admiral watched as the creature began scratching at the reinforced floor, leaving deep marks. He finally understood that this was no normal animal. Mara explained that Earth was a harsh world, and some of its animals were born fearless. The honey badger, she said, was one of the toughest. Humans had not made it in a lab. Nature had made it over a long time. The Empire had captured a piece of Earth's wild nature and trapped it in a place of steel and rules. Now the station was paying the price. The Admiral did not like fearing such a small creature, but he could not deny what he had seen. He announced that the creature must be destroyed to restore the Empire's honor. The aliens on the station gasped. The commander began to protest, but Mara stepped in front of him. She refused the order. The honey badger was from Earth. She would not let anyone kill it. The Admiral threatened to open fire on the station and the human ship. Mara knew he might mean it. If a battle started here, thousands would die. The honey badger seemed to sense the mood. It paced back and forth, claws clicking on the floor. It did not understand politics, but it understood tension. A low growl rose from its throat. Sparks from broken wires flickered nearby. Mara thought fast. If the Admiral wanted proof of control, she would give him a test. She opened the channel again and suggested a challenge. Instead of destroying the station, she asked the Admiral to send a squad of his best warriors to capture the honey badger alive. If they succeeded, the Empire would keep its honor. If they failed, he would admit humans had not attacked and would stand down. The room went quiet. The commander stared at her in disbelief. The Admiral considered the idea. His pride pushed him toward it. He could not resist the chance to show that Imperial warriors were stronger than a creature from a distant world. At last, he agreed. He sent a squad of elite soldiers toward the station. They were heavily armored and armed with shock lances and shield emitters. They marched through the docking bay in tight formation. Mara watched them on the station screens as they moved toward the storage room. Aliens gathered around every display, hearts pounding. Some wanted the squad to win so the nightmare would end. Others quietly hoped the creature would win, proving that the Empire was not untouchable. On the flagship, the Admiral watched as well, claws tapping on his chair. The elite squad reached the door. They ran a scan, then stepped inside, forming a circle with shields raised. The honey badger stood in the middle of the room, bits of broken metal around its paws. It turned its head slowly, studying the newcomers. The squad leader spoke in a calm voice, saying they would use non-lethal force. The honey badger took one slow step forward, then another. The soldiers adjusted their stance. The creature's lips curled back, showing sharp teeth. Its eyes were bright with challenge. For one moment, everyone watching on every screen felt the same feeling. They were not watching a simple animal control mission. They were watching a tiny storm roll in on 4 short legs, ready to test the courage of an empire. The elite squad stood still as the honey badger growled from the center of the room. The soldiers tried to stay calm, but the creature's eyes made their hearts beat faster. It stared at them like it already knew the outcome of the fight. The squad leader signaled the others to activate their shields. A blue wall of energy formed around them, trapping the creature in their circle. They believed the shield would hold. They had used the same shields to capture giant alien beasts, but this creature was different. It did not fear the shield. It did not fear anything. The honey badger sniffed the glowing wall, scratched it once, then suddenly lunged forward and struck the shield with its claws. Sparks exploded. The soldiers tightened their stance, surprised by the force of the hit. The squad leader ordered the team to close in slowly. They tried to push the creature toward the center to calm it, but the honey badger had no interest in being pushed. It darted toward one soldier, slipping under the shield angle, and hit him hard in the legs. The soldier stumbled, and before he could react, the creature bit into the bottom of his armor. The armor was built to handle sharp weapons, but the honey badger tore through it as if it were thin fabric. The soldier screamed and fell back, dropping his shock lance. The creature grabbed the lance, shook it wildly, and threw it across the room. Everyone watching froze in disbelief. The squad leader shouted at his team to regroup. 2 soldiers ran forward with linked shields, trying to box the creature in. The honey badger ran straight at them. slamming its entire body into the shields. The impact sent both soldiers flying backward. One hit the wall, dropping his gear. The other lost his shield, which cracked on the floor. The creature turned and growled again, louder this time. The sound echoed through the halls and into every display screen on the station. The aliens watching felt the noise in their bones. The admiral on the flagship leaned closer to his screen. His eyes widened in disbelief. The creature was stronger than he expected. He refused to accept defeat, but fear began to creep into his expression. The station commander whispered that perhaps they should call off the test. The admiral refused. He said the Empire must prove its strength. Mara watched quietly, feeling torn. She knew the creature was unstoppable. She also knew the Empire needed to see that truth for themselves. Inside the storage room, the squad tried a new plan. They launched energy nets from the ceiling. 3 nets dropped at once, glowing bright blue as they fell toward the creature. The honey badger looked up, jumped sideways, and rolled under a crate. The nets hit the floor, melting into the metal. The soldiers tried firing stun bolts next. The bolts struck the honey badger directly, covering its body in electric light. But the creature simply shook itself like it had walked through light rain. It charged again, slamming into another soldier's chest. His armor dented inward, and he flew backward, sliding across the floor until he hit a pile of equipment. The squad was losing fast. Only 2 soldiers still stood with their shields. They looked at the squad leader, waiting for orders. The leader raised his voice, telling them to activate maximum shield power. The shields glowed brighter and hummed with stronger energy. The honey badger approached slowly, eyes glowing with challenge. The leader yelled for his soldiers to close the circle. They pushed forward. The honey badger crouched low. Then it launched itself upward, hitting the shield wall near the top. The force cracked the shield and sent a shock wave through the room. The soldiers dropped to their knees, unable to hold the formation. The honey badger landed in the center of the broken circle and roared with surprising volume for such a small creature. It rushed the last standing soldier, grabbed his shield, and twisted it so hard that the energy core inside snapped. The shield exploded in sparks, and the soldier fell back, hands shaking. The squad leader realized the fight was over. He held up his hands, signaling surrender. He spoke softly, telling the creature they would not fight anymore. The honey badger stared at him, then gave a short snort and turned away as if the soldiers were not worth any more of its time. Across the station, the aliens watching the screens gasped in shock. They had expected a tough battle, but not this. The creature had defeated their elite squad without using any weapons, without strategy, and without fear. Mara watched the Admiral's face as reality settled in. He looked defeated, confused, and angry, all at once. Mara stepped forward and spoke calmly. She told him it was time to accept the truth. This was not a weapon. This was Earth's natural strength. She said the Empire had treated a powerful creature like a piece of research, and now it had paid for that mistake. The Admiral clenched his jaw. He understood that fighting humans over this would only bring more chaos. For the first time, he sounded uncertain. He asked Mara what she planned to do with the creature. She told him she would take it back to Earth and make sure it never caused trouble in their empire again. He agreed reluctantly, but he demanded one thing. The creature must never return to Imperial territory. Mara promised. Inside the room, the honey badger walked around the unconscious or frightened soldiers. It sniffed a broken shield, climbed onto a crate, and lay down as if satisfied. The fight had bored it. Now it wanted rest. Mara entered the room slowly, careful not to move too fast. The creature looked at her, remembered her scent, and did not attack. She knelt beside it and sighed. She whispered that it was time to go home. The creature closed its eyes, trusting her in its own stubborn way. The station finally relaxed. The fear that had ruled every hall began to fade. Aliens walked out from hiding places, staring at the broken shields and twisted armor. They could not believe a creature so small had overpowered the best warriors of the Empire. Some felt relief that it was leaving. Others felt deep respect, and a few felt something new, admiration for Earth. Mara prepared her team for transport. She knew the worst was still coming. The Empire had been humbled today, and humbled empires often sought revenge. But for now, the mission was simple: take the creature home before it caused another war. The honey badger stretched lazily, unaware that the galaxy had just witnessed one of the greatest displays of natural power it had ever seen. When Mara lifted it gently into a containment pod designed specially for safety, the creature did not resist. It had fought, won, and rested. To it, that was enough. The Admiral gave final clearance for the humans to leave. Mara nodded in respect, though she knew respect was the last thing on his mind. The Falcon Star prepared to depart. Engines warmed. The station lights steadied. For the first time in hours, peace returned. But peace would not last long. The Empire could not ignore what it had seen. A single Earth creature had shaken its pride, and Mara knew the galaxy would soon learn that the honey badger was only the beginning. The Falcon Star lifted away from Vrac Station, leaving behind a trail of soft blue engine light. Inside the ship, everything was quiet except for the steady hum of the engines. Captain Mara Hayes stood near the containment pod where the honey badger rested. The creature lay calmly, breathing slowly, no longer angry, no longer fighting. It looked peaceful, almost innocent, as if it had no idea of the chaos it had caused. Mara watched it with mixed emotions. She felt proud of Earth, amused by the creature's stubborn nature, and worried about what the Empire might do next. The crew whispered among themselves as they walked past the pod. Some still feared the creature, others admired its strength. A few even joked that the honey badger should be promoted to ship commander, but no one said it too loudly. The creature had sharp ears. Mara touched the glass gently and whispered that everything would be all right. She hoped the creature could understand her calm voice. She hoped it knew the trouble was almost over. But trouble was not finished. Moments after leaving the station, the Falcon Star detected a fleet shadowing them from a distance. Sensors showed 10 Imperial ships following silently. They did not aim weapons, but their presence alone felt heavy. Mara ordered her crew to maintain course but stay alert. She tried sending a message to the fleet, asking for their intentions. No answer came. The silence carried more meaning than any threat. Inside the pod, the honey badger lifted its head. It sensed something changing in the air. Its nose twitched as if it could smell tension through metal walls. The creature stood, scratched the floor once, then sat facing the door. Mara watched with concern. The creature had learned to react before sensors did. If it felt danger, then danger was coming, even if unseen. The Imperial fleet finally sent a message. It came not from the Admiral, but from the Emperor himself. His deep voice filled the bridge with cold authority. He said the Empire would allow the humans to leave with the creature, but only if they agreed to one last demand. The Emperor wanted a meeting aboard his flagship to understand how Earth had produced such a fierce creature. He wanted answers before he let them pass safely. Mara listened with caution. She knew refusing could turn the silent fleet into a storm. She agreed to meet, but she told her crew that she would not hand over the honey badger. Not now, not ever. The honey badger seemed to react to the message. It scratched the pod again, leaving thin lines on the reinforced glass. Mara sighed and whispered that she would keep it safe. The creature calmed down a little, but its eyes stayed sharp. It knew something important was coming, something final. Soon the Falcon Star docked with the Emperor's massive flagship. The docking rings clamped into place with a loud metallic boom. The crew felt the weight of the moment. Mara stepped out first, walking into a long hall guarded by Imperial soldiers. They held weapons angled downward, but their eyes were fixed forward with strict discipline. Mara followed them into an enormous chamber decorated with glowing banners and tall metal sculptures shaped like wings. At the far end, sitting on a rising platform, was the Emperor. He studied Mara with deep, reflective eyes. He held his hands together, calm but unreadable. He asked her how Earth had created a creature so fearless. Mara explained that Earth was unpredictable and wild. She told him honey badgers were not made in labs nor grown for war. They were simply survivors. The Emperor listened closely, surprised that something so powerful came from nature alone. He asked if Earth held many creatures like this. Mara answered truthfully. Earth held many creatures strong, clever, or stubborn in their own way. The Emperor sat back, thinking carefully about her words. He said the Empire feared humanity now, because if one small creature could destroy a station, then what could the rest of Earth's life do? Mara replied that humanity did not seek war. They sought knowledge, exploration, and peace when possible, but Earth would defend itself fiercely if threatened. She told him the honey badger was a simple example of Earth's spirit, stubborn, brave, impossible to break. The Emperor lowered his gaze, understanding more than he wished to admit. Then he asked the question that mattered most. Would humans ever use creatures like this for war? Mara answered with calm honesty. Humans fought their own battles, she said. They did not send innocent creatures to fight for them. The honey badger's rage came only from being trapped and scared in an alien place. She promised the Emperor that Earth never intended to threaten his empire. He listened silently before giving a slow nod. He agreed to let them leave peacefully. The tension in the room softened, and Mara felt relief. But the Emperor added one final warning. If humanity ever sent more unknown creatures into Imperial space, the Empire would treat them as invaders. Mara accepted the terms. She hoped the galaxy would never again witness something like this. When Mara returned to the Falcon Star, the honey badger greeted her with a soft snort. She smiled and told it everything was all right now. The creature stepped around the pod, restless but calmer than before. She opened the reinforced door gently, letting it walk into her arms. Surprisingly, the creature did not resist. It allowed her to lift it, as if it finally trusted her completely. The crew watched in disbelief. The galaxy's most feared creature rested peacefully in the captain's hold. The Falcon Star began its long journey home. The Imperial fleet slowly turned away, giving them space. As the stars stretched into thin lines through the window, Mara whispered that she would take the creature somewhere safe on Earth. A place with open land and warm sun. A place far from metal walls and frightened aliens. The honey badger closed its eyes, satisfied. It had fought when needed, bitten when needed, and scared an empire without even trying. Now, finally, it could rest. Mara smiled softly, knowing the galaxy would tell stories about this creature for generations. Some would fear it, some would admire it, but one truth would always remain. Earth's wild heart had shaken the stars.